Hello my friends, welcome back to another video. This is actually the first video of this new year of 2022, and it is actually the first video in front of these newly decorated and organized, cleaned and organized bookshelves. I had to go through and get rid of a lot of books that I wasn't going to read or that I didn't enjoy, just to clean everything up, and there's actually a lot more space on here for me to buy more books eventually and throw them on there. But that means that an unhaul video will be coming here pretty soon, so be on the lookout for that. But today's video is actually going to be my most surprising and most disappointing books of the year. This is going to be books that I wasn't expecting I was going to like, and then books I was really expecting I was going to like but didn't. So I think without further ado, let's hop in with the first book. So first off, I'm going to start off with the most surprising books this year. And this first one actually ended up making it onto the Out of This World Reading Awards, and that's going to be The Lost Apothecary by Sarah Pinner. I don't know why I wasn't expecting to love it. It's a historical fiction, and I think that might have been the reason. At the time that I picked this up, I wasn't kind of connecting with any of the historical fiction that I was picking up. It was just like the same thing. It felt like it was just either like a World War II historical fiction or something that I just wasn't connecting with. But with this, I just absolutely connected with it. Just the aspects of both like the past timelines, the two past timelines, and then the present day timeline. They meshed so well and they connected together at the end. It touched on so many like important topics that need to be discussed, like just men abusing women and taking advantage of them, and just their role in society. And I just loved how it took that into this kind of historical fiction and just made it enjoyable to read. The present day timeline was kind of like she was stuck in a rut with what to do with her life and where to go, and just uncovering this file just really kind of set her on a path that I just really enjoyed and connected with, because at the time that I picked this up, I wasn't kind of on the right path, I guess, with life. Like I wasn't sure like what I wanted to do with the rest of my life, and after reading this, I knew that I wasn't alone, and that just made it more like just to connect like on a deeper level to a book that just really hit me in while I was reading it. And then the found family and the past perspectives was just like, it was so heartwarming. It was just so heartwarming to kind of see their bond form throughout the story. And it was really kind of high stakes, the past perspective, because they're kind of on the run after some things went down. But overall, for the debut, this was outstanding. And if you want to learn more, I actually did a full review on this, so I'll make sure to leave a link down below. Next up, we have a romance. And this year, I didn't really pick up very many romance, but this one that I did pick up was just outstanding, and it was just kind of like a great entryway into the romance genre that I've been trying to kind of venture out into and explore a little bit more. And that was People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. I've heard a lot about the author from Beach Read, her first novel, I believe, or maybe her second or something. But just a lot of people enjoyed that, so I thought maybe I'd give this one a try. It sounds something like up my alley. These two friends kind of trying to reconnect by going on vacations. I do love to travel, even though we can't right now. But maybe hopefully soon, when I have some money, I can go traveling. But I just really like that kind of setup of them kind of reconnecting just on these travels, and connecting the past of how, like, what happened and what led to them kind of separating and just going on separate ways, and just how they kind of came back, sparked a little romance again. I thought Poppy and Alex, they're polar opposites, and it just meshed perfectly together. They attracted, and it was just great. First entryway into romance, and I'm really interested to check out Beach Read by the author very soon, maybe in February. I don't know, we'll see. Next up, we have a book that I was kind of looking forward to, but I wasn't sure if I would really connect with it. It was kind of like a mix of fantasy and kind of mystery, so like a detective fantasy kind of thing, a little dark, very dark. And that was The Helm of Midnight by Marina J. Lotstetter. I enjoyed the dark atmosphere and kind of the creatures kind of lurking in the dark, and just the aspects of kind of like the masks and them having a voice and you being able to kind of wear the mask, but there's consequences, and that voice can kind of control you, but the mask kind of gives you abilities and stuff like that. I went to more in depth kind of the magic system, because that was probably my favorite thing in the review that I did. So if you want to learn more, check out that. But just like the aspects of just the magic with the world, it almost felt like like an 18th century like France around that time, but just the way that they all kind of combined and made this perfect kind of setting, I just enjoyed that. And then the aspects of the kind of detectives kind of going around trying to solve this murder that's really kind of taken a higher stakes because the murders are occurring again, so it's like ups the stakes and everybody's kind of on edge, and it's just a great quick read, and I can't wait to just see where it continues on in the next series. And the next book, not the next series. We then have another book that made it onto the Out of This World Reading Awards, and this book has been on my bookshelves since I got it way back in elementary school. I think it was like the 2nd or 3rd grade. So that is how long it has been waiting. And it was a Book of Mysteries pick, and it was the first Book of Mysteries pick, and it just provided me with one of my favorite kind of reads of just not last year, but just of all time. And that was A World Without Heroes, which is the first book in the Beyonder series by Brandon Mull. Absolutely outstanding. Just like, I loved kind of like the portal fantasy aspects of it, but just as well like the different perspectives and the characters. You really connect with Jason and Rachel through the series, and you just really connect with all the other kind of characters as well. And it was just so hard to kind of say goodbye at the end when everything was kind of concluded, and it all just like played out in the end. It was just so heartbreaking. Like in the epilogue, it's only like 10 pages or so, and it took me like more than 30 minutes to finish it because I was just completely bawling my eyes out of just how hard it was to kind of say goodbye to just this world, the world of Lyrian, and just the characters. Each book just added on to kind of the world building, and just you got to explore more of the world. And I don't know, like, I didn't know how Brandon Mull, like after the first book when he introduced a lot of the world, kind of continued to do that in the 2nd and 3rd book. The 2nd book is not Middle Book Syndrome. I found it even better than the first book. It really upped the angst and like aspects of kind of just like building this rebellion and stuff. But if you haven't checked this, I feel like this is highly underrated, so definitely give it a try. And the last book for the most surprising books of last year is going to be The Push by Ashley Audrain. I just finished this maybe a week ago or so this barely like slipped in at the end of the year. And at the time of picking this up, I was a bit skeptical because I was in a extremely reading slump for just mystery and thrillers. Everything I picked up was just terrible, and I wasn't connecting with it at all. And this one was pretty creepy. It almost made me not want to have children anymore. Like, I think this is the first time that I've kind of dived into the kind of trope of like not being able to kind of trust whether the child is evil or if the mother's kind of going crazy. So I thought that was like a good first entryway, and it really set the bar pretty high, because just learning, it's not so much as kind of like a thriller, it's more so of kind of like a drama, just seeing how this mother kind of retell her events and kind of piece together whether she's really going crazy or whether her child is really evil. And the only thing that I didn't like about this was the ending. I was hoping that it would kind of end with a bang, but it kind of left it up for your interpretation. Like, an event happened, but I was kind of hoping that the kind of main perspective would kind of show us what happened and kind of be there when it did. But it was still like great the whole way, just like learning more of just like not being able to trust whether this was an unreliable narrator or whether the child was actually a demon. So I loved that, and it brought me out of my mystery and thriller rut. Now it's time to get into the most disappointing of 2021, and the first one is going to be One by One by Ruth Ware. I've had a very complicated relationship with the author since picking up The Woman in Cabin 10, I believe. I did enjoy that one, not as much as I thought I was going to. Everyone kind of hyped it up. And then I believe like the second one I read was The Turn of the Key, and that one I did enjoy. Like, I really loved that. That's one of my favorite kind of mystery thrillers that I've ever read. And then like the others I've just not been connecting with, and this one was just terrible. Like, the only thing I liked about it was the setting. So that was about it. Other than that, like, I knew who the killer was in the very beginning. And I was just kind of reading and finishing it to see like why they did it, I guess, and how it would kind of play out But other than that, like, it was terrible, honestly. And now I'm kind of debating whether I should continue and pick up any more of Ruth Ware's books. It's been just a rough roller coaster ride with her, so maybe if the next one kind of intrigues me and after hearing some positive reviews, maybe I'll pick it up. But other than that, I don't think I will. This one isn't so much as like disappointing as like I didn't like it. It was more so of kind of like I was expecting more from it, and might be a bit skeptical because a lot of people enjoy the series, and I do enjoy it, and I will continue to read with the series, but I was just kind of expecting a teeny bit more from reading it, and that was the first book in the Winter Night trilogy, which is The Bear and the Nightingale by Catherine Arden. I did love kind of like the setting and the atmosphere that it poured out into the pages, and like really set the stage for kind of winter arriving here. It made me feel cold and trapped in, and I love like the folktale and kind of elements of Russian history mixed into it. But I was kind of expecting maybe more magic or kind of elements of just like a little bit kind of a magic going on. So maybe that was kind of the wrong thing of me to kind of go in expecting it out of. I just kind of went in blind, so that might have been the thing. So maybe it isn't the most disappointing, but I was just kind of expecting more from it. And another thing I was kind of disappointed by it was kind of the ending. I was kind of expecting it to kind of set it up for the series, but it almost felt like it kind of wrapped up and could have been a standalone. So I will be reading The Girl in the Tower this month in January. So I don't know where it will go, but I have a feeling that I will enjoy it. So I don't know, maybe this shouldn't have made this on this list. I don't know. We then had one of the only kind of sci-fi books that I picked up, and this was a new release. Didn't know anything about it. I was just kind of intrigued by the premise, but I was hoping that it would be a good read, good quick read. It was Winter's Orbit by Everina Maxwell. I think this really needs a reread because I did read this at a time that I wasn't kind of doing very good and with school and everything, so I think that might have contributed to just my overall thoughts. But just like I wasn't very interested. It found like it's almost seemed boring to just kind of go about these two, like the journey that they went on in trying to solve kind of this murder mystery, as well as kind of save the universe. So, but I was kind of expecting it to just add more kind of sci-fi elements into it, maybe some like space battles or stuff like that, or maybe some like alien races that going on. But really, other than that, it was mostly kind of just like a murder mystery in space, and I wasn't expecting that, and I was disappointed. I expected some giant Star Wars kind of, you know, Star Trek space battles going on, people fighting and dying, guts pouring everywhere. I was kind of expecting that, but it wasn't, and it was just really disappointing. And then we have probably the most disappointing book on this list, and that's going to be A Deadly Education by Naomi Novik. I've loved everything else by this author, so I was like, there's no way that I'm not gonna like this book. And I did. The only thing that I really kind of liked about this was just like the school setting and the dark atmosphere. Like it was almost felt like a school for like Slytherins, and I just enjoyed how around each corner you didn't know whether like a Mal was gonna like pop out and kill you, or you couldn't trust anybody. I loved kind of like the aspects of the magical kind of school setting, but just like the inner dialogue from Elle just really turned the book off for me, and it was hard to finish it a lot of times because just at random points it would just do a little huge info dump, and a lot of times at important fights, at a lot of times like during a fight, like it'll just take a break and be like, nah, we need to explain what's going on more here. And that was really just annoyed me about the book because it did it a lot of times. And Elle in this first book was really negative Nancy, and I just didn't connect to that. It's like it almost felt like she didn't want to have friends, and that's what she was trying to do, was find friends and kind of survive school. But every time someone tried to reach out to her, she's like, nah, get away from me. But for some reason, I'm going to finish the series when the third book comes out. The second book did improve a lot more, and I did enjoy that a lot more than this first one. So I'm hoping that the third one is a ton better than the first one. And the last book that's going to make it onto this list is All the Beautiful Lies by Peter Swanson. I've heard great things about the author, All the Kind Worth Killing. I really wanted to pick up, but since I had this one on my shelves already, I thought I'd kind of give it a try. And from the start, I just didn't connect with it. I kind of guessed who the murderer was from the start. So I don't know why I kind of continued to read after that. But then there was another aspect of kind of just like a stepmom, stepson, that kind of relationship. And that's not me. Like, I ain't reading nothing about that. And for some reason, I finished the book. I should have DNF'd it. And that is one of my goals for the new year. But just like that relationship and then knowing who it was, and it was really kind of boring. Like, there wasn't kind of like stakes at all involved. I felt like it was just kind of just going about it, just trying to kind of solve the mystery. So it was more kind of mystery than a thriller, and I should have DNF'd it. And that is why it made it onto my most disappointing, because I was expecting a lot from this author, because this is someone that I've heard great things about and a lot of just great reviews, but this one wasn't for me. But that's going to be all for today's video. I really hoped you enjoyed it. What was your most surprising and most disappointing books of 2021? If you did enjoy this video, please consider liking and subscribing so you never miss out on another adventure. But it is time for Ellie to come on here and give you a message. She first wishes you to have a happy new year, but she also says that adventure is out there. So I'll catch you next time. Bye.